Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Zahira binti Muhammad Sofiri, metric number 2022925863 from KBA 2423C. I will present about the KODAK Corporation. First, background of the KODAK before the failure. Eastman Kodak Company, also known as KODAK, is an American company that produces film and photography equipment and offer product and service related to digital imaging. Rochester, New York is the home to the headquarters. As the successor to a corporation found in Rochester in 1980 by George Eastman, who pioneered the newly invented process of producing photographic triplates. The company was incorporated in 1991. Before 1880, every time a photographer wanted to take a picture, they had to coat a plate with fresh, wet chemicals. Eastman established the business that would later become Eastman Kodak to make his mechanically produced dry and pre-coated plates. In 1988, Eastman debuted the Kodak camera, the first camera that was simply to use and portable enough for widespread use by amateur photographers. 4 years after producing roll film, the camera and its seal film were returned to Rochester for processing and new film after being purchased. In 1990, Eastman invented the less expensive Brownie. It was a simple box camera with removable film canister, thus there was no need to return the entire device to the manufacturer. The business continued to develop advanced for amateur photographers in the ensuing years. Kodak was the first to produce home filmmaking equipment and Cadrochrome, a simple-to-use color slide film. The business released the Instamic line of the still and motion picture cameras in 1960. All of which required film put into cartridge. In addition, into adjusting the focus and moving the film forward, the technology advanced this camera series, which was first introduced in 1982. Kodak also had the ability to automatically activate the use to flash when necessary. With the introduction of an 8mm video camera system and video with cassette tape in 1984, the company entered the video market. Kodak started to place a new emphasis on digital photography produced when the consumer market for cameras and other items related to film photography saw significant decline in the earlier 21st century. The company continued to be a significant supplier of photographic films, papers, and chemicals for professional photographers well into the 21st century. In addition to making a motion picture film, single-use and other consumer digital camera, area surveillance films, and the equipment for the graphic communication industry. Second, the condition of the Kodak corporate governance that leads to its failure. After the digital camera gained popularity, Kodak fought with Fujifilm, its greatest rival, for almost 10 years, claiming that viewing an image taken by a digital camera was an unusual process and that people preferred the feels and touch of the printed image. Kodak was confident that Americans would always pick it over Fujifilm, an international business. Fujifilm and many other companies focused on gaining a foothold in the videography segment rather than engaging in verbal spat with Kodak. And once again, Kodak wasted time promoting and used the film camera instead of emulating its competitors. It's completely ignored the feedback from the media and the market. Kodak tried to convince people that film cameras were better than digital camera and lost 10 valuable years in the process. Kodak also lost the internal funding it had during that time. People also realized that digital photography was very ahead of traditional film photography. It was cheaper than photography and the image quality was better. Around that time, a magazine stated that Kodak was being left behind because it was turning a blind spot to the new technology. The marketing team at Kodak tried to convince the managers about the change needed in the company core principle to achieve success. But Kodak management continued to stick with the outdated idea of relying on film cameras and claimed the reporter who said the statement in this magazine did not have the knowledge to back his proposition. Kodak was unaware that its strategy, which has worked in the past, was suddenly working against it. The plan failed due to the rapidly evolving technology and the market demands. KODAK spent its money on the acquisition of numerous tiny businesses, which prevent it from promoting the sales of digital camera. It was already too late when KODAK realized this and began selling of manufacturing digital camera. By that time, a number of large corporations had already made a name for themselves on the market, and KODAK was unable to compete. KODAK has cut 47,000 jobs since 2003 and shut down 13 factories and 130 for processing. It presently has 17 employees worldwide, a decrease from 63,900 just over 10 years ago. KODAK finally made the decision to stop selling classic film camera in 2004. Around 50,000 employees, or nearly a fifth of the company's staff at the time, were laid off as a result of this move. Prior to the start of 2011, KODAK was removed from the Standard & Poor 500 index, which ranked the 500 largest American corporations according to stock performance. KODAK shares price fell to an all-time low of 0.54 in September 2011. Over the course of that year, the share lost more than half of their value. KODAK fell into bankruptcy in 2012. Last, the form of failure experienced by the corporation is bankruptcy. The technology is one of the countless innovations that KODAK developed over the years but failed to successfully commercialize. Most famous being the digital camera invented by KODAK engineer Steven Sasson in 1975. Digital technology has all but done its iconic filmmaker. Even as its researchers pushed the limit of the technology, KODAK management would fail to recognize digital photography as a descriptive technology for decades. In a 2007 commercial film, KODAK declared that it was back and that it wasn't going to play grab ass anymore when it comes to digital. Some businesses are unprepared for the ways in which new technology are changing the world. Others anticipate change and can quickly adjust. Then there are businesses like KODAK that foresaw the future but were utterly at loss for what to do. With the Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing on January 19, KODAK completed its 30 years transition from leading innovator to an old behemoth impoverished by its own legacy. Adapting to technology change can be especially challenging for established companies like KODAK, because entrenched leadership often finds it difficult to break old patterns that once spelled success. KODAK history shows that innovation alone isn't enough. Companies must also have a clear business strategy that can adapt to changing times. Without one, disruptive innovation can sink a company's fortune even when the innovations are its own.